Hello. Also, welcome to our session. Our session is called Biomimicry, Designing for Divergence. And we're going to share you some things, but we really want this to be more of a discussion. We would love for you to tell us things that you are doing. You know, tell us if you think we can do things better, and just kind of have a general conversation about this. I'm Kae Novak, and I put ... there at the end of it. All my information's there, but I'd like to introduce my partner in crime right now, Dr. Anjali Vaidya. And Anjali, why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself?
Hi, good morning everyone, and welcome to this wonderful session. At least we hope it's going to be wonderful, because we have had wonderful time going over some of the projects that we are going to share with you. So I am Anjali Vaidya, and I'm a biology faculty at Westminster campus. And I do teach microbiology, and I definitely like to do a lot of hands-on and interactive projects with my students. And one of the projects that we did is biomimicry, and we are also going to talk about a mystery project that we did, and that's what we'll share with you. So here we are, and let's get started.
Yeah, and so the reason we say designing for divergence is this is something that came up while we were developing biomimicry project. We were contacted by the University of Colorado Boulder, and guess what? They were doing a biomimicry project also. And in fact, they were doing research. The methodology they were using was, classic experimental. With one class they would introduce biomimicry, and the other class they wouldn't. And then what they were doing is that they were assessing them for divergent thinking, and by divergent thinking meaning creative thinking. So we also saw this when we were giving students the projects, and we'll talk a little bit more about this, and also a little more about biomimicry. Now, people, everybody can unmute your mic if you want to talk, and that's fine. And we'll figure out, we'll talk over each other a little bit, but then we'll figure it out. So don't worry about that part. So how many people, first of all, know what biomimicry is? You can either get on mic, or you can type yes in chat, or no in chat, or maybe, or type bio what. So feel free. Okay, so Lori said me. Yes. Dolores, not really. That's fine. We're going to talk about bio. Amy typed in bio ? Okay. Anybody else? We got other people saying so cool, so cool. Well, that's Lori saying so cool. Other people, and not really, but it sounds interesting, Elfreda. And I'm going to tell you, yes, that's how I felt when I first heard biomimicry. And what, Anjali? I kept mispronouncing it at the beginning, right?
Yeah, we just call it biomimicry. And basically, biomimicry is more broadly and more accurately referred to as nature-inspired. So it's inspiration from nature for everything that we do. And that is why talking about biomimicry, which is nature-inspired processes of everything that we've understood so far in science, in our day-to-day life, is all coming from nature. That's what, in a nutshell, biomimicry is all about.
And I'm going to click on this video. You're only going to see the images, but we'll talk over it anyway. But as Anjali was saying, biomimicry is nature inspired. People have been talking about it for about 20 years now. And they're going to show the person who right now, Janine, who's like a key component of it. And I'm going to let you take a look at a bit of this.
Hey, Kay, the audio.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Oh yes, the audio wasn't coming through. We were just gonna just show a little bit of the images, and we weren't gonna even go through the whole thing. But basically, we have the slides up. If you go to the schedule, the slides are right underneath the Zoom link, so you can watch it for yourself. But basically, biomimicry, and the reason I came in here as an instructional designer is at Boise State University, one of the courses that is taught there on sustainable design introduced the subject of biomimicry, and it was really intriguing. And I'll go on to the next one. And I'm going to skip over that. We have the picture of the bee drone, but the bee drone video is not there yet, is no longer up there. But the thing of it is, basically what, probably about the last 5 years, Anjali, biomimicry has been getting more attention.
And you know, this is what we did in our classes too. I used this particular project to get my students thinking about outside the classroom environment and challenge them. And this was my method of making sure that they think beyond what we teach them in the classroom. And we let them loose, and this was some of the things we told them, look into it and look into the inspiration that we have come from our nature, from biology, from nature, and that's what we need to introduce and let them think about how important these critical processes are also. Right? Because they never think that anything that they are discovering is all theirs, all scientists, but even scientists, etc., they all definitely being inspired by nature, understanding, and then taking it a step further to implement it in a different manner.
And this we're just showing a clip from a website and an article in Pinterest that of biomimicry. But Anjali, why don't you tell them about the shark clothing project that one of the students came up with?
So there were a lot of wonderful projects that my students came up with, and I used biomimicry project for my microbiology class, for my general biology class, for my non-majors biology class, and I asked them to look into what exactly is biomimicry, understand what it is, look into a project that somebody did and they were inspired by nature, and then ask them to take their own imagination and come up with their own product. Doesn't matter how weird it looks, how strange it sounds, that's not the problem. In fact, that is the key for success. And they came up with some wonderful ideas. And one of the ideas that a student did, she looked into the shark skin, and they said, hey, this would be a good one to mimic. And she came up with a swimming costume based on the striations on the skin of the shark, saying if I now go to swimming, other predators will stay away from her. So that was her take, which I thought was fantastic. But I did caution her from experimenting with it. So I did definitely caution her on that. And then we also had a lot of microbiology students who got intrigued by the skin of shark, and they started looking into it. They said, how come they do not get a lot of bacterial infections? And that was something, a mind-blowing moment for me, when the student took upon themselves to figure out, investigate, and they actually figured out that there is a company who has come up with basically a bandage kind of a design based on the patterns of the skin of shark, which prevents infection from happening. And I thought this is what learning is all about. So we did have a session last year where we showcased all the wonderful design that the students came up with, and that was a mind-boggling experience for all of us, that students can definitely go above and beyond and do all these wonderful projects when challenged and pushed into thinking and doing it. So that was my take on it.
And we're just showing you some of the things that we pretty much gave to the students. Now to start our bio, now this was on Anjali, we spent like a year, maybe 2 years thinking about it and thinking about how we were going to do it. And actually what we started out with was really taking the students outside. We're at the Westminster campus in Colorado, and Westminster is like North Metro Denver. And in Colorado, we have a lot of things called open spaces. So if a developer has done a housing development, they have to give a certain amount of space basically back to the community so that people can walk and do trails and stuff like that. And where we're located by our Westminster campus, there's a big open space like right behind us. So what we did was not only Anjali's class, but also in one of the English classes, what we did was during the class time, we took the students and we walked them around. And here's some pictures of that. And in fact, that's me in the reflection space. But what we did was we had students walk around. We had them take their phones so that they took pictures of things. And Anjali is just great at, like Anjali is great at giving a tour. You walk 3 steps and, and Anjali's like, oh, do you see this? Do you see the, and Anjali, the best example that you really that really got the students, if you could tell people, because it was also out in our open space, is the Velcro example of Velcro and biomimicry. If you could say that.
I don't know. I think Velcro might be a really good example for a lot of us to know. How did we get inspired to come up with this Velcro? Any idea? Anybody knows how that was designed? And how did we come up with Velcro, which is so very important in our day-to-day lives now? Anybody?
So the history of Velcro.
Yeah. So this was what as we were walking, we saw these, the burr plants, and the plant had kind of dried out, but the seed with the burr spines was still there. And I had to stop and ask them, do you think you can be inspired by this particular design? And they really were taken aback as to what am I talking about. But I had to say, hey, look into the design. Do you think you can come up with something? And after a little bit of pause, little bit of thinking, a little bit of prodding, they said, do you think this is how they designed the Velcro? I said, exactly. That is what they did. They saw the interlocking spines of these burr seeds. When they lock into each other, it's impossible to remove them. And this was the inspiration for the Velcro. And that really took them by surprise that, whoa, we never thought it came from nature. I said, almost everything that we are coming up with is from biology. It's from nature. You have to have your minds and eyes open to see these things. So that's where we got started, big time.
And I do want to I do want to mention something, and I hope that I have it. I hope I have it right. Maybe I have it wrong. But when we did our session and brought our faculty in, one of our art professors, she brought in devil's claws. She brought in devil's claws for us to really look at the seeds and the designs and everything like that. So like I said, Anjali was really good that when we went outside and we had the students looking, Anjali was like, look at this, look at this. And then the students would take pictures and look at different things. And quite honestly, the students liked getting out of the classroom. They didn't expect it at first, but they liked the fact that it was like, okay, even though that this is a microbiology lab, we're going outside. It's not all about test tubes and the things that are happening here. And this is going back to teaching divergence and divergent thinking. It's the idea of getting students out of the same atmosphere and getting them to expand their thinking, and to getting them to think beyond just the walls of the classroom. We really tried to do that. Now, this is the little plug to open educational resources and open pedagogy. There was no textbook on this. You can Google biomimicry and you'll find some articles, sure. But we really ended up making it open pedagogy. And how many of you have been in other sessions or where they have discussed open pedagogy? Oh, and Alfreda's saying her biology colleague and I have collaborated on art projects at our campus. Excellent. Yeah, that's what we really found. Anjali did a fantastic job of, when it came to biomimicry on this campus, bringing in math people, bringing in geology people, and bringing in art people to all think about biomimicry. Yeah. Okay, so I have Lori, who's done open pedagogy. Alfreda's done open pedagogy. Anybody else playing around with open pedagogy when it comes to students? And you can type in Y or N for no, and that's okay. We're just trying to get an idea. And if anybody wants to go on mic to even tell us about what open pedagogy you've been doing, you can just unmute yourself. And Lori says, I know almost nothing about it. That's okay. Quite honestly, this slide might be all that you need to know to get started. You are anticipating what we're going to do. First of all, I would say just keep in mind killing the disposable assignment, because think how many times assignments are given out, and I don't love this. I teach multimedia. I don't love when my assignments only show up in the LMS and the other students are the only people who see it, or I might be the only one who sees it. I feel it should be shared in the open. And that's what really open pedagogy is. And I'll give you a moment to read this, because I'm not gonna read it for you, and multimodal theory tells me not to read it for you. So go ahead and read it. So open pedagogy takes open educational resources one step further. A lot of faculty and instructors who are using open educational resources are going out and finding them and bringing them into the classroom. With open pedagogy, you're having the students create the resources. And Anjali, I think you can talk to, for the biomimicry project, the kind of things that the students have created.
Yeah. So for biomimicry project, we definitely got involved with other subjects too. And science was definitely a big part of it. We also went into the math, we went into English, we went into the arts and literature. So all of those people definitely were brought into doing this particular biomimicry project. And we have had, or at least I can vouch for my classes, we've had really good participation from the students. I gave them very minimal rubric. Just told them, hey, this is what you need to do. Look for some inspiration from the nature. Come up with a solution for anything that you might think about, right from some medical to environmental based solutions based on what you do. And they said, well, I'm a microbiology student. Should I not do environment? I said, no, it's all out there for you to explore. And they came up with such wonderful finished products of the inspiration. Some of them actually made physical models of cities that they can come with based on beehive designs, how they are so interlocked, how tightly they can be, and because of the population pressures, we will have to start designing those kind of buildings that needs to be done. I had a student who looked into the woodpecker and said, how come a woodpecker can hit a tree with this much of velocity and not crack its skull open? And that was an intriguing moment for me, that students are actually pausing to think about it. And she came up with a very rudimentary design of a helmet based on that design. And that blew me away. And that was a non-major biology student. And she said, I do not know how accurate my design is, but this is my inspiration. And I said, that's all I need to know. So I've had students who said they were looking into microbiology. We were talking about malaria, and they said, wow, how come mosquito does not coagulate the blood as it's biting? And they figured out, they did research, they said they do an anticoagulant. They said, why don't we use anticoagulants in our injection processes itself? So I thought these are the good thinking processes, which really has opened up, and they were so excited even till today. These students, when they meet me in the hallway, they will always stop by and say, you know, that was the best thing that I've ever done, because it let me think rather than you telling me what to do all the time. And I think that was the best thing. And now what we are doing is we are compiling all the student works, and we are writing a small compilation of what we did, how we did, what the students did, what the products was, and that is what we want to do along with other collaborators in math, etc., and have this kind of a booklet, kind of a publication, whatever we can do, so that anybody who is interested in doing this will have access to this particular information booklet that we might have.
And so I'll make a couple comments here. First of all, I will tell you, for our open pedagogy, Anjali's office is lined with these projects. They're all over the place. So for the open pedagogy, the students have given projects that are now going to be used for the next student, so that students can see what's already been done. And the book that Anjali talked about, that's the open project that we're doing with the students. And yeah, this semester got met. We were going to work on it this semester, and that got a bit messed up. And also the fact that we were not showing you the projects also got a bit messed up when they closed down the campus on us, and we couldn't go back and get the projects. But
one thing I would like to add about this book, the students are being the co-authors here. They are very excited about it. Now they say, wow, you are making us take this a step forward. I said, yes, definitely. And they said, what if my ideas are not absolutely original? I said, that's not the worry here. My main thing is that you got stimulated and you got excited about doing some more research, thinking about it in a different manner. And that's all there is to biomimicry and how you learn from nature.
And we're gonna address a comment that Diz Darb, and I'm assuming that's two names put together, so put into the comments, who says, I love this, but realize that it's so foreign to students that the traction may take a whole year for a lot of them and never catches up with about 25 to 30% of them. How do you overcome this hill? I'm going to tell you my observations of Anjali, and then Anjali can give you her take on it. Okay, I will tell you, oh, there's Disarb, and get on mic if you feel like it. The thing of it is, this project, we did go to our internal review board so we could do research on it. So I've been going into the classroom when Anjali's been teaching it so that I can do observations. I will tell you, Anjali has this quiet confidence, okay? The thing of it is, she introduces the project, and if I'm there, you know, she'll let me say a word or two, so it seems like I'm doing something, right? Okay, but but then she hands it over to the students, and no matter how much they go, but what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? She just has this quiet confidence, and she just tells them, think about it. Figure it out. And I mean, I will tell you, I have seen her, and she stays firm and determined. Like I said, quiet confidence. And her being able to do that and being able to let go of the reins and not feel like she has to program everything works wonderfully. And I'm comparing me seeing her do this compared to, I work with a lot of faculty when it comes to escape rooms and building escape rooms for their classes. And I see where escape rooms aren't as effective when the faculty member decides that they have to keep giving hints or they have to step in and the students aren't doing it fast enough. For my observation of Anjali, it's that she just keeps turning it back on to the students, but in a very nice, reassuring way. But go ahead and get a mic and ask whatever you want.
So I taught high school for 10 years. Mm-hmm. And one of the classes that I taught was environmental systems. And I didn't want the kids to make a dumpster project, right? I wanted it to expand. So we kind of set the stage by looking at water cycles and how CO2 cycles, how everything's interconnected. And then I'm in Houston, so we looked at urban sprawl versus vertical sprawl with a big city. And then we looked at CO2 productions, and from them, they were interested in vertical gardens because they took up less space, people could do it on their patios. But I only had, after all of that, about, I would say 5 to 10 students that were really invested. And the rest of them, it was like pulling teeth. So they'd go off in their groups and then they would just chat and they wouldn't want to take ownership of anything. And I felt exhausted by the end of the day because I felt like I was pulling the motivation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and this is what I did a little bit differently. I did not give them too much of rubrics. If you want, I would be more than happy to share my syllabus, my rubric with you. Just send me those, send me an email, please, and I will have my email address just typed in for everybody. I'll just put it in the chat. And what I did was I gave them very minimal kind of direction, and they just kept saying, why don't you give us more rubric? I said, you have rubrics after rubrics after rubrics for every kind of project. You already know what is a rubric. I do not want to give you that. Brainstorm. And they said, what if my idea is wrong? I said, it's not the wrong idea that I am going after. I just want to see how you can think about it. No matter how bad your design is, that's not what I'm looking for. And how do you know it's a bad design? You really have no idea. Neither do I. So let's work together and not worry about how you cannot come up with a solution. Sometimes there are no solutions right away, and you have to do it multiple times. So let them feel confident that whatever that they're coming up with, it's absolutely fantastic. Nothing wrong with anything. And that's what was something I had to keep going over. And they say, oh, but you know, this was the idea I thought about. And when I did the research, they already had this idea. I said, doesn't matter. You thought about it, independent of knowing that somebody already had. For me, that is a wonderful moment in your learning process. They said, you sure? I said, absolutely. Nothing wrong with that. So those kind of things have to be reinforced, because now do you see how they suddenly, from those tight rubrics, 2 points for this, 3 points for that, 10 points for that, do you see how they really get worried about those? So yeah. I did not make it a huge point-based project so that they do not end up losing the grade. And I was not worried about, I was giving them grades for this particular project, no matter how bad they thought it was. I really was not concerned about it. So point wise, it was not a big part of my total points, but it was something. And the moment they started looking at, I really had to start reining them in. They said, "Oh, we can think about this. We can," and I said, "Fantastic! That's all I want. That you can think about it and analyze and think about something that you can apply. That's all was my aim." So that's how I kind of kept them motivated.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you. No, that's really helpful. I think reframing the mindset is the hardest piece, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
They want to do work, and I have a lot of overachiever kids, so they want to do work, and they want to do a lot of work, and they want to do it really well, but they're so afraid to try something new that's outside of the box.
Absolutely. And that's what we need to break. That is the most challenging part. And that's where I found students who are not doing well in terms of the traditional routes. When I let them use, I had the best of the projects in terms of thinking coming from them too. And that's what is so bothersome to me, that we have reined in our thinking process so much by all these rubrics after rubrics. You do this many questions, these are the points you'll do. I think I'm just getting tired of it. And that was the reason I let myself become free. And that, I think, resonated with my students. They say, "Oh, okay, we can do whatever. It's our project." And that's what they keep telling. It's our project. And I said, exactly, it's your project, not mine.
Okay, I have one more question. Do we have enough time?
Oh yeah, we're good. This is supposed to be.
My other question was, so this was 4 years ago. I was teaching a similar type of class, and I was at one of the highest achieving academic schools in the Houston area, if not Texas, right? So I went in just thinking, this is going to be amazing. And at the end of it, the kid said, I had a kid actually walk up to me and apologize on the last day of school for not doing anything. So they knew what they were capable of, but they knew how to skirt around the issue. Is that just one of those things? And I think I'm just saying this more for, I need somebody to verbalize it to me audibly. That you just take that, like, I went into a school, I was teaching in a very different way than anybody was used to. The first year is just going to be that way, and you keep going? Or is there, maybe I should have framed it different? Is it just a learning? Does that make sense? So it was very hard for me because I really put myself out there trying something very different. This one, they were going to reduce CO2 emissions in the private sector in any way they wanted to.
Yep.
And so it was very open, and there was like 4 main questions they had to answer. And if they answered those 4 questions, it was fine. And the work I got back from some students was incredible, but from others that I knew had the potential to do 10 times more, it just fell really flat. And as an educator, it was hard for me to keep up my motivation to keep going.
Okay, I'm an instructional designer, I teach, educator. What I end up doing is because of my job, bringing lots of new technologies to students who don't want new technologies. So I can totally understand what you're saying. First year, if you try something, you get pushback. There is no question about it. You will get pushback for students who are used to following a formula, especially if you're having high achieving students who have learned how to game things already and make the, and sorry, this is my soapbox, make the class just about pointification. How many points do I need to get this? So yes, first time you are going to get pushback. I've found that, and I know this is bad, I'm going to go, because I'm going to Merrill's for principles of instruction. Keep talking about why what you're doing is relevant to them. Keep telling them why it's relevant and how they're going to use it. And I've seen that from like the younger students who are high schoolers who just happen to be in my class, to the people who are 60 who are taking the class, that I'm constantly talking about what is the relevance. Why does this make a difference? How are you going to use this once you get out of class? How this makes you creative? How this will, I mean, with us in technology, if you were at one of the sessions I was at before, when I'm doing technology grants with some people, if they're younger, we say, you have to learn this because everybody's going to expect that you know technology. And if they're older, you have to learn this because everybody's going to expect you don't know how to use technology and you're going to have to prove them wrong. So, I mean, my opinion is relevance, relevance, relevance. But other people should jump on mic and say what they think. Or not. That's my deal. I'll go on to our next slide. Design. So we really look to design for divergence. And here is the assignment Anjali designed. So this is the basic assignment. And we did a biomimicry day, which Anjali can talk more about who got invited.
Kind of touched upon it. This is where the students were invited. You know, it was not our day, it was the students' day. And about 12 students came and presented their project to faculty and staff members from our own campus. That was, and then we had few other people coming from DU also. And it was a fantastic moment. The students were really very excited because they felt that, you know, it was not a project that they had to do and be forgotten about it. It was something that it was very relevant, and I was willing to showcase their own project to everybody, and that made a big difference. And we had a fantastic display of their projects, their ideas, and they came and talked to everybody as to how. And one of the things they said, we were taken aback when Anjali introduced it and told us, hey, you're on your own, do it. And they said for a few days, we were very upset with everything that she was asking us to do. But after a while, when we actually sat down to do it, we knew how to do it. We really didn't need too much of direction because it was our project. That's what she was saying. Do it on your own terms, not my terms. And that took them a while to figure it out, that they are in a classroom where they have the freedom to do what they want rather than what I want them. I said, I have enough things for you to do how I want. So that's already going on. That is my course content. I cannot move away from that. I need to cover that. But I want you to have freedom to do something that you want to do. And that's how this project really, really wrapped up in such a positive note, took me by surprise also.
And sorry, we're only reporting on the positive things. Yeah. But here's the thing. We wanted to do biomimicry, and Anjali and I would like walk down the hallways and go, biomimicry. How do we do this? How do we do this? And then there was this article in All Things Fast Company, right? And the article was called The Most Important Design Jobs of the Future. And we were reading it, and one of our other colleagues, Farah Banani, she was reading it with us too. And it just had this list of jobs. And we were blown away by these jobs. And we went, with our curriculum, how are we going to get our students to these jobs? And we're at a community college, okay? So community college, if you're at a community college, we're very proud of it. But at the same time, you know, we're a little bit like, well, we're not the four-year research university, but we want our students to still be able to do things like this. And we just went, how do we get them thinking differently? How do we get them thinking about design and creativity enough in their first 2 years so that they go on to the next 2 years either at the University of Colorado Boulder or University of Colorado Denver or Colorado State, so that they can be thinking about you know, how to be a synthetic biologist, you know, how to be an augmented reality designer, how to be a chief drone experience designer. How do we get them there? And that's really where the Biomimicry project came, to give them that freedom of, no matter what subject they were in, that you know, like, that they could think about this, like embodied interactions designer. I want to be that. Well, the escape rooms are as close as I get to that, but anyway. And then we also, you know, started to think about what other mobile apps or tech could we use for the Biomimicry project. And I'm seeing we don't have a lot of time. So Anjali, I'm going to go quickly through a couple picture slides I put up here to show you guys something else. Now, this is not Biomimicry, but this is another design project. And the reason why this is up is this is our symbol for the ELK conference. And I didn't realize this until somebody said, when they saw this, they went, the elk has a respiratory problem, and I'm like, oh, that's so right for us now. The respiratory problem with our elk is so right for the elk conference right now. Okay. The reason I put this up is because I'd like to tell you about another project that we got really inspired by. Okay, so the woman here happened to win the 2017 Educator of the Year for elk, and she went up to the guy who won the 2018 Educator of the Year, okay? Because he was talking about a project he was doing, and he teaches, you know, ancient civilizations and humanity. And Anjali went up to him and said, I want to do a project with you. And I'm paraphrasing, but she said, I want to do diseases and ancient history. And they came up with this, the microbiology murder mystery. So we did it in 2019. By the way, we won Elk's award for the best learning technology project, but it was the ancient Egypt murder mystery. So Anjali's microbiology class in Westminster and his ancient civilization humanities class in Boulder collaborated to investigate a murder mystery. And while we're playing this video, don't worry about the sound because it's just music behind it. But we got the library staff. That's the head librarian. He played the role of Professor Thad. And we brought him in and we did a faux lecture, like he was like as if he was lecturing as Professor Thad about ancient Egypt. And then, yeah, that's me walking across there. But anyway, he ends up collapsing, and Anjali's class, the microbiology class, has to diagnose what's happening, but they can't figure out everything because it's in an ancient Egypt display. So through Skype, we have to call the other campus, and when they call the other campus, they figure out the figurines, the spells, and everything else to be able to go ahead and do this. It was a collaboration against details. You can go ahead and look at this at our slides. The thing of it is that Marcus, the other professor, he actually works at a place that has a bunch of these faux artifacts. So we did the whole room in the library with these faux artifacts, these very heavy faux artifacts. That's the students calling each calling each other over Skype. So in this big room up on the big screen, we had Skype, we had computers going, the students in the ancient humanities were investigating the things. You don't have to read all this, but this was the spell that they had to figure out because it was the bubonic plague. We use technology to show that you can do things like what we're doing right now. And we wanted to show that to you guys, especially since we're ending up. So Anjali, we only have about 5 minutes. So
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, being creative and talking about the same things in a creative manner does make a difference. And the project that we did about the modern mystery, we also made sure that the professor who came down with the illness as he was talking to my class was displayed. He was an anti-vaxxer. He did not believe in any modern medicines for any kind of treatment preventions, and all he wanted was the spells of the ancient time to be given. And this was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for my students to look into diseases which are still with us. They are from ancient time to modern times, and it was a good opportunity to see how the treatment has moved on, but maybe not, because we still have certain parts of the world, certain parts of the society which are not believing in the modern medicine. They still go back to the spells and the old style of treatment. So that was a fantastic project. And I think both the classes, the history, the humanities class, and the microbiology class learned so much from each other. And we did do a good comparison and contrast about the ancient treatment versus the modern time, and how the ancient diseases are still with us and why they are with us. And that was a good takeaway point. And we had a wonderful discussion about how it is a relevant topic and how anti-vaccination movement may or may not be the best thing for us to be really thinking about, because there are reasons why we may not want to use it, but then there are a lot of reasons why we need to use the vaccines. So that was one. And the slide that Kae is projecting is, again, this is how gaming people figured out one of the most important enzyme for HIV virus to replicate. And they managed to do it by doing gaming, which was opened up. Researchers for 15 years could not figure out the shape of this particular enzyme, and gamers, 3 weeks after it was opened up as worldwide, they figured out it's a folding and its structure. And that was a big discovery in terms of treatment for AIDS and HIV. So
and this is hanging on the outside of Anjali's office door. So we threw it up there for a creative thing that you can do even if you can't bring students into the classroom now. And they do have something for Corona if you go to their website, yeah. And they have a bunch of research about how they've been using that. And this is just tossing this out at the very end. Look, we want our students to be creative and divergent. And if you haven't seen this yet, this was last week. This is a professor at the University of Mississippi, and he is pediatric anesthesiologist. He figured out how, with things that you could get from Lowe's or Home Depot, how you could make a ventilator. And when it comes to divergent thinking, that's what we want our students to do. You know, when we showed you all those different jobs, that's what we want our students to do. We want our students to do things like this doctor did. When, wait a second, we've always done it this way. How can we do it differently and better? So we are basically out of time now, but what we really wanted to show you was some of the projects, including especially focusing on biomimicry, that we're bringing to the students to get divergent thinking. So I have 1 minute. Anjali, you have 1 minute. Whatever you need for that 1 minute.
I just want to let people know, hey, don't be afraid of trying something new. Have confidence in your students. That is the key. If you tell them that you know they will be able to do it, they will deliver it, and big time. They really can do it.
And and I put the slides in so you can go, and we have information on the slides. So if you look in the notes, you can find things. So, of course, Anjali knows exactly what it is. Okay. All I know is it's HIV, and it's on the door outside of her office. It's sitting there. So, Thank you, everyone. And if you ever feel like collaborating, let us know. We obviously, you know, space and time is